March 26th, 24. And Chris, do you have your notice of public or public notifications?
I did bring it. I sent it to staff earlier.
All right, let the record reflect that that has been
Did you get
provided.
it?
Notice of posting.
Send it to me?
Well, I sent it to Sages.
Oh, you put it. Oh, okay, okay,
Here's
okay, thank you.
And at this hearing, we are going to repeal our resolution of 9 of 2023, wherein we approved granting approval of arterial highway and front yard setback variances, in addition to height variances necessary for fire suppression system to the Emmer Fields LLC. And we're going to add a new resolution, and that's going to be case 11 of 2023. And the applicant is represented by Chris Benden, who's here to give his presentation. Chris, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. Chris Benden here on behalf of the applicant, the Emma Fields. We did provide a notice affidavit to staff who uploaded that into Sages, and I just provided a physical copy to Joanna. We are asking for variances. This is an application that you heard once before in October. It was a very lengthy meeting. This will be much quicker. We had discussed variances needed for a fire suppression system. This here is the old date, but this is a aerial view of the property. This is a rendering, but it very much looks like that, minus the vegetation today, or basically complete. This is the location just up valley of Basalt. The location here, just on the down valley side of that pedestrian bridge that you see when you're passing through Holland Hills. This is an aerial view earlier. Actually, I think this is the end of last winter. Site plan here, State Highway 82 on the bottom of the screen, Hoagland Ranch Road. It's our access point into a new driveway called Distillers Way. We see the distillery buildings in green. There's 3 affordable housing units that have highlighted in that orange color. The northern part of the site is for fields and crops. The southern portion of the site is this distillery. This is a closer in version of that. You see in the blue was the original planned location for the fire suppression tanks. That was presented through the planning approvals, went through all the reviews with county staff and with the fire district. There was I think some change in the fire district staffing and maybe not full awareness throughout the district as to this being the proposal. The proposed location turned out to be undesirable for the district, and it's sort of for obvious reasons that you would need to drive in past potentially engaged buildings to get to the fire suppression hookup to then have water to fight the fires that you just drove past. So they prefer that be located not in that location. These are maps that you saw in your prior hearing and are repeated in the applications that's in front of you today, where we sort of systematically highlighted in red the areas where we cannot have the fire suppression tanks and hydrant due to having to drive by the buildings that could be potentially engaged. The topography and location of the tanks and the hydrant for hydrostatic purposes to be able to have appropriate head pressure. the buildings themselves, where you can't have the tanks underneath the buildings, underneath the driveway, et cetera. So we get to essentially the southwest corner of the property as the appropriate location for the tanks and a hydrant system that a fire truck can pull up, connect to the tanks, pull the water and fight the fire. It can also be rapidly refilled during an event if need be, with a tanker truck coming in. If the tanker truck doesn't happen to be able to hook up to the fire truck directly, they can dump the water into the tanks and the water can be pulled through the truck, et cetera.
You said
Yeah.
southwest corner, isn't that the southeast corner?
South. Is it the southeast corner? Yeah. Okay. Up the Up Valley corner. On the left-hand side as you're pulling in on Hoagland Ranch Road. There are 6 requests in front of you, and I'll go through them. The first 2 are related to setback variances. They are the exact same that you reviewed in October. The first is that the tanks themselves are 48 feet from State Highway 82. There's a 100-foot setback requirement from an arterial highway. So that represents a 52-foot variance to that 100-foot setback for the proximity to Highway 82. Again, that's a one that you considered in October and approved. The second is the setback from Hoagland Ranch Road. There's a 50-foot setback requirement. The tanks are located 38 feet from Hoagland Ranch Road. So that's a 12-foot front yard setback variance for the proximity of the tanks to Hoagland Ranch Road. Again, that's identical to what you saw in October. The remaining 4 are all different in height. These all deal with height, in that the location that we are measuring from, the sort of the base plane that we're measuring from, is different than what we had measured before. And so we had recited a whole bunch of height measurements to you that were all incorrect. So they are different only in the sense that we are measuring from a lower point of elevation. The elevation that we're measuring from is 6,765. And all the measurements are from that. So the first is a 48-inch variance to allow for grading in the setback. Grading in the setback is limited to 30 inches. We are the top of that grading, or top of that berm, whatever you want to call it, is 78 inches above that 6,765 figure. That 6765 is sort of artificially low because there used to be a driveway that sort of punched into the property that has been since filled in. So all these numbers sound a little bit elevated, but that's sort of the basis of the measurement. So we're at 78 inches above that, accommodating for the 30 inches of grade manipulation that we are allowed to do. There's a 48-inch difference, and that's the 48-inch variance. That's if you call it grading. If you call it a berm is allowed to be 48 inches, which represents a 30-inch height variance if you measure it from that 67, 65. We're 78 inches above that, so it's a 30-inch variance. So depending on whether you call it grading or you call it a berm, we've asked for both variances. We sort of don't really care what the county calls it, but it's either one or the other or both. So we've asked for both. The fifth one is regarding the tank collars and lids. Again, measuring from that 67, 65, they're 84 inches above that plane. You can see in the picture there that they sit above grade slightly. You'll see 8 of them there. Those are the tank collars and the tank lids that are required for the 4 tanks that are placed in the field. Those are 84 inches above that pre-construction grade of 6765. There's no county provision for tank lid height. So we're asking for the 84 inches as a variance. The last one is regarding the vent stacks that stick above the tanks. There are 4 of those. They look like upside down snorkels. Those are 135 inches above that elevation 6765. The reason they're so tall is that we need a 48-inch clear span between the finished grade and the opening of the vent. So the vent kind of comes up and curls over, points down to the ground. That space that's open and clear needs to be 48 inches to accommodate for snow or whatever that might build up there. The vents allow for air to go into the tanks while water is being pulled out, so you don't create a suction so that the water can continue to free flow. We had originally had 2 problems with this dimension. One is we were measuring from a different base elevation, as I explained. The other is that we understood this requirement to be 36 inches. The fire marshal brought some clarity to that. We needed 48 inches, so those vent stacks have since been raised to accommodate that 48 inches. They are now 135 inches above that elevation 6765. So those are the 6 variances that we are asking for. The criteria that are in front of you, you're well familiar with. I won't read to you because you've probably had applicants do that to you in the past. It allows the Board of Adjustment to provide a variance when there is an undue hardship, which can be as a result of a particular practical difficulty. We think we have that in the manner of topography of the site, the technical requirements of the fire suppression system that dictate the proximity, location, and height of the tanks and the hydrant system where you draw water from. Specific unique conditions or events that happened during the permitting process, as I described, where we had planned on one location and midstream, mid-construction, found out that location was not acceptable to the fire district. And lastly, a set of private covenants that dictate how some of the land in front of the property can be used. So those are what we think are the 4 sort of unique conditions that are practical difficulties that result in an undue hardship on the property owner. This is an aerial photography of the site last fall. And you can see the sort of on the right-hand side, see if I can highlight it. Yeah. These are the tank lids that you can see. So those tanks are buried. The snorkels are sticking up above grade. This will be, vegetated. There's some trees here on the corner. There's a gate that's been installed to the driveway coming in. There's landscaping that's been installed along Hoagland Ranch Road. These X's are actually used for conversations with our neighbor about additional locations of vegetation to add, additional conifers to add there. And there'll be probably some rocks, large boulders placed along the edge of the roadway to prevent people from parking in the mud and then dragging mud all over the place. This old driveway apron has been since removed, and the ditch drainage has been restored. We have on the Zoom call a few folks in case you have questions of. We have Deborah Shaner, who is a fire safety engineer. You heard from her extensively in our last call. She can help answer questions that you may have on fire suppression system technical aspects. Luke Bamberger is the architect of record. He is an architect with Anderson Mason Dale in Denver. You also heard from him in our last meeting. And then I think we should have Matt Patel. Yeah, it looks like he's on. Matt Patel, who is the applicant. He's the owner and applicant for this application. You can ask him questions certainly about the distillery and other questions that are not sort of technical in nature. I will tell you, if you ask Matt, we are ready for this to be done. We are, this is an important step for us, but with the BOA's approval here tonight, we can apply for and receive our final inspections for the building, for the site, for the fire suppression system, advance into certificate of occupancy, and then hopefully very soon flip the switch and start making the hooch. So with that, we'd be happy to answer the questions that you have for us.
I'm not sure whether Charlie or Seth have any questions imminently, but I'd like to know what the disposition of the neighborly
Yep.
conflicts are. Was that, are they, I don't see any objections anywhere. You got that pretty much resolved?
We do. Yeah, as I'm sure you remember very clearly, we had a very arduous meeting last time around.
Right.
We had very clear, differences of opinions with a neighbor representing an HOA. Those issues have been worked through. It took some time, certainly. Those have been worked through, primarily resulting in some additional vegetation screening along Hoagland Ranch Road, some painting and some obscuring of some utility meters and pedestals and little stuff stuck to the side of buildings that are sort of on all buildings, but were objectionable. So we've worked through that, and then some other sort of administrative things that we had to resolve.
You didn't by chance happen to get a letter from him agreeing to these changes and in support of this?
We do not have a letter in support, but they did withdraw their appeal that they had pending with the county.
Okay. Charlie, Seth, you have any, oh, wait, hold on a second, Joanna.
I'd like to enter into the record an email from John Melly, the fire marshal from Snowmass, who, that's his jurisdiction.
Right.
And he writes that he's happy, he inspected, he's happy to go.
Okay, let's enter that into the record. Guys, do you have any questions of the applicant?
So just so I understand, the physical situation of the berm or landscaping along with the tanks, none of that's changed other than you're just taking the measurement from a more appropriate location. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, that is correct. We're measuring from a lower elevation, if you will. So it would be as if Seth Hemlowski was described as being 14 feet tall because you're measuring from the basement.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
I would like to be a little taller, but 14 feet's a bit much.
We did raise the vent stacks. We raised those
Understood.
12 inches. Yeah.
Okay. And Rick and Joanna, my understanding or my memory serves me, we approved this before. Is that correct?
Yes, if I recall, we unanimously approved this in I think it was October.
Yeah. Okay. Great. No other questions for me.
Charlie? You gotta unmute yourself.
Do that, okay. I've actually made a site visit since I run up and down the valley more often than I'd like, and be honest, I can't figure out what the original concerns were about it, but anyway, it looks good to me. It looks like you're doing everything you can to make it go away and as comfortable as possible. So I really don't have any further questions.
Okay, do either one of you care to make a motion? If not, I can probably get them to bring that uh, peculiar practical difficulty argument back up.
Why don't we do that?
You want to read that and enter that as a motion and reference that this is going, we're going to repeal case number 09 of 23 and install a new resolution of 11/23. And inculcate these 6 variances. And the hardship, if one of you guys want to make this motion, you can use that stuff up there.
I can't read it, so
Seth, can you see it?
Unfortunately, I can't read it either. I don't have my glasses.
You don't have to use the whole
it's a
thing.
long ways away. It's very small.
I don't have my glasses with me, guys. I apologize. I
I've got
can't read
glasses,
it.
but you can't, I mean, it's,
Is that better?
You want to go for it, Charlie?
I'm just trying to,
Come on, Charlie, I know you can do it. Come on.
this is the criteria, okay. We approve the variance due to the hardships of topography and the fire marshal's restrictions from certain locations.
You want to use the particular practical difficulties?
That's where I'm trying to find them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as a result of in particular practical difficulties, to do undue hardship upon the owner of such property, and granting relief from the strict application of the land use code, and will not substantial detriment to the public good, and will not substantially impair the intent or purpose of the Pickens County Comprehensive Plan and its land use code.
Very good. Okay,
So, I'm sorry, Charlie, I got topo and fire marshal restrictions on the location.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I got that you said as a hardship, it was gonna be peculiar practical difficulties as it relates to the topography and the fire marshal restrictions, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
good motion, Charlie. All right. All those in favor, so signify by saying aye to approve this variance, these 6 variances.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, did we have a second?
No,
I second.
any discussion?
No, sir.
Favor, so signify by saying aye.
I,
You got a unanimous approval, Chris Bendon.
Okay,
Once again.
terrific. We hope to be not back on this project.
I don't want to see you again.
good luck, Chris.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
Ed.
for your time.
Thank you. See ya.
Good luck.
If
Here we
there's,
go.
if there's no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second him.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your service.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
Sorry for being late again, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Did everybody,
I'm.
for another term?